The Milton Keynes-based team Red Bull dominated the 2022 season, securing both titles by a significant margin. They are considered the clear favourite as they head into the 2023 season. However, some pre-season difficulties may impact their performance in the upcoming F1 season. What are these issues? Stay tuned to find out. Despite winning 2 consecutive championships, Red Bull has not experienced a tranquil period due to numerous controversies. After the Abu Dhabi 2021 saga, the team encountered another backlash amid the cost cap breach revelations. The world of Formula One was forever changed in 2021 with the introduction of the first ever financial regulations aimed at creating a more competitive and sustainable championship. No longer would teams just throw money at their cars to gain an advantage. The budget cap was a revolutionary move in the sport, putting an end to the financial arms race and giving smaller teams with limited resources a fighting chance. The cap was a dramatic change from the days when some teams spent upwards of $400 million per season. Originally, the 2021 budget cap was set at $175 million, but that was cut down to $145 million to help teams struggling as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic, which placed greater emphasis on the need for F1 to slash costs. The cap was reduced to $140 million for 2022, and it was further cut down to $135 million for the F1 23 season. The FIA dealt Red Bull a stiff penalty for their minor overspend in the 2021 Formula One season. The punishment included a $7 million fine and a 10% reduction in aerodynamic development hours. But for a top team like Red Bull, $7 million is just a drop in the ocean. According to Formula One's chief technical officer, Red Bull could have avoided exceeding the cost cap, but they didn't. We will talk about that later on. But first, let's take a look at the possible impact of this penalty on Red Bull's 2023 season. Also, if you're enjoying this video, please give us a thumbs up and subscribe. Thanks. Critics argue that this financial penalty may not have much of an effect since it's not coming out of the team's 2023 budget. However, there's a catch. Had the case gone to the cost cap panel, a reduction in the future budget cap would have been possible. So, what's the real impact of this punishment? On one hand, the $7 million fine may not hurt Red Bull's bottom line, but on the other hand, the reduction in aerodynamic development hours could limit the team's ability to improve their car's performance. But the question on everyone's mind is, will the 10% reduction in aerodynamic testing time be enough to curb the 2-time champion's dominance? Critics and experts are divided on the matter. While some believe that the penalty could have been more severe, others are convinced that Red Bull will find a way to compensate for the loss of performance. It's no secret that aerodynamics plays a critical role in a car's performance, but how much will this affect them when the 2023 season kicks off? Red Bull team boss Christian Horner called the penalty draconian and estimated that it could cost his team up to half a second per lap. But not everyone was in agreement. Mercedes trackside engineering director Andrew Chauvelin disputed Horner's grim assessment and pointed out that the reduction in testing time was roughly equivalent to what you would lose if you were just one place higher up in the championship. It's worth noting that a team's allocation of aerodynamic testing is determined by their position in the constructors' standings, and Red Bull's penalty combined with their championship title has resulted in a 63% allocation. Horner recently stated, "We're probably 25% almost of the way through that penalty, and of course, it has an effect. It's significantly limiting the amount of runs that we can do in our wind tunnel over each quarter. And I think that the team are having to adapt to that. And it just means you have to be a bit more focused and more disciplined in what we put through the testing process within the tunnel or within our simulation tools." So it's another challenge, and it's a handicap for sure, coming into this year. But we've very capable people that are looking to obviously extract the best that we possibly can and apply ourselves in the most efficient and effective way. However, Mark Webber believes that Red Bull will remain the team to beat at the start of the season, despite the Milton Keynes-based outfit's budget cap-induced aero penalty. Webber said, "Red Bull are still the most dangerous team coming out of the blocks, and Max, it's just Formula One Plus for him at times." I think the highlight for me was to see what he did through the field in Spa. That was just unbelievable. I don't think anyone knows really how much that's going to impact them, but I'm sure they've got enough creative people there to keep it going. But I think we also don't know how much Mercedes have given up on in 2022. In some ways, giving up is not the right word because there's always some learning for next year. Let's now talk about how Red Bull could have avoided breaching the cost cap. Formula One's chief technical officer Pat Symonds revealed how Red Bull had the chance to avoid this scandal altogether if they followed the F1 pack. Symonds mentioned how every team had the chance to do a dry run for the budget cap regulations. In this dry run process, Red Bull opted to stay out and not do it. Pat cited that if the Austrian team had conducted the dry run, they might not have made the $2.2 million overspend breach. He said Red Bull got a few things wrong, but every team was given the opportunity to do a dry run. Red Bull chose not to, and that's probably why they made mistakes. Simons further stated how Red Bull would feel the impact of the cost cap breach penalty sooner or later. He cited how it is difficult to calculate the impact of the penalty. Still, Red Bull Racing will feel the impact either on their 2023 car or their 2024 car development. Given how late the FIA announced the penalty in late 2022, Red Bull's 2024 car may most likely feel the impact of the reduced aero testing time. Despite falling on the wrong side of the financial regulations with hefty penalties, the Red Bull boss thinks that the cost cap has brought efficiency to the sport. The Briton explained his statement that 4 or 5 years ago, the teams used to have a huge stock of brand new spare parts that were never used and would get scrapped. But now, with the cost cap, the teams cannot afford to stock the spare parts, and it has made their work more effective and efficient. Having been unknowingly tripped up by the wording of the 2021 financial regulations, Horner pointed out that the rules require further refinement over the coming seasons as grey areas are clarified. Which other team would challenge Red Bull in 2023? Red Bull advisor Helmut Marko believes Mercedes will be a stronger opponent than Ferrari next season. In an interview with the German publication Bild, Marko was asked about his projections for next year. Which rival would be the biggest challenge for the Austrian team? He promptly claimed that Mercedes would be a more significant challenge, given that the team could be seen rectifying issues throughout their failing season. The Austrian and German teams were locked in an intense title battle in 2021, but the Silver Arrows failed to understand the 2022 regulations and hence were unable to challenge the Bulls in 2022. Mercedes drivers pushed the cars to rank higher throughout their lackluster season. This resulted in podium and pole finishes. According to Helmut Marko, Ferrari is strong, but Mercedes will be stronger as a whole, especially with a driver like Lewis Hamilton. He's still a top pilot. Although Ferrari also has a very good driver in Leclerc, he still makes mistakes. Red Bull's battle with Mercedes and Ferrari will be exciting to watch next season. It remains to be seen if there will be any adverse effects of the team losing 10% of its development time for next season. The tension is palpable as we wait to see if Red Bull will rise to the challenge and defend their title, or if the penalty will prove to be their downfall. Do you think Red Bull's cost cap breach penalty was adequate? And will they continue their dominance in 2023? Let us know in the comment section below. That will be all for today's video. Thanks for staying tuned. Please don't forget to hit the subscribe button and notification bell so that you can always get to watch more amazing videos like this. See you in the next video.